1. Marriage of Inconvenience, Florence, Italy. Declan Fitzgerald had enjoyed his long weekend in Italy. Having been to the Vatican 6 times previously, it still held an awe-inspiring fascination for him and never failed to take his breath away. His second favorite place was Florence and the Tuscany region. He always personally visited the vineyard to handpick several cases of wine, having them shipped back to Ballymena Island. He never used the term northern, constantly referring to it as island. Taking in the vibrant, bustling atmosphere of the Piazza della Signoria, the Irishman sipped his glass of Chianti Classico. He almost forgot why he was there until the clock tower on the Palazzo Vecchio chimed 3:30. Suddenly, he remembered his appointment, the noise sending a flock of pigeons flapping their wings into the cloudless blue sky. Fucking flying rats. Dara had positioned himself to have the best view of his surroundings, which he did instinctively. It was a trait he learned as a young tearaway with the IRA when dicking watching the hated British Army at 15. Now, at 67 years of age, he was still very security aware. That's why he was sitting sipping the finest red wine in Italy and not 6 feet under in Bally Cemetery. Ballymena, like many of his late comrades, may they rest in peace. Blessing himself, he finished his wine. Body of Christ, he said, taking his own mass. He knew he was supposed to be meeting an Iranian gentleman who goes by the name of Afshin Borzubani, or in English, the fighter, a name he forced himself to learn as a mark of respect. Well, maybe not respect, but more to show that the Sons of Iran were serious players on the global terror market. Florence was known as the birthplace of the Renaissance. Maybe in years to come, historians will look at this meeting as the birthplace of the new resistance. You're getting ahead of yourself, old man, he thought. Durer had faith that one day he would see a tricolor flying over the 32 counties, God willing. Then he noticed a tall man in a dark blue business suit, walking with long, purposeful strides, approaching him. The man carried a brown briefcase. Something told him that this was his man, as he just had an air of confidence about him, evident in his gait and the way he carried himself. For a split second, Dira imagined that he could be a suicide bomber and then tried to clear his mind of such thoughts. But these things happen. He is coming to take you out, and you're sitting here like a sacrificial lamb. Shut the fuck up. Watching intently through his sunglasses, the tall man carried on his walk, seemingly straight towards him. He was 5 minutes late, and like Dira would have wanted to make an excellent first impression. But unfortunately, African migrants selling selfie sticks blocked his path. He dismissed them with an aggressive wave of his hand and what looked like some not-so-complimentary expletives. Judging by the shocked look on the migrants' faces, not knowing what to expect, he was slightly annoyed with himself that he assumed the guy he was meeting would be dressed in an Iranian Dulban turban with a huge Ayatollah beard. Still, he was not sitting with a beret and sunglasses, holding an AK drinking a pint of Guinness. Dara didn't like racial profiling at the best of times, but he had just done it himself. The man might be a solicitor on his way home and have nothing to do with him. No, his gut rarely let him down. That's why he was second in command on the Sun's Council and assumed the Iranian was equally important to his people. Dara sat at a 2-person table, which suited him perfectly. However, he had to repeat several times that the vacant chair was reserved to the crowds of excited visitors. "Excuse me, sir, is this seat taken?" the tall Arabic man asked. "No, please help yourself," Dara said welcomingly. Afshin sat down and carefully placed his briefcase on the floor, then slowly took off his sunglasses. His dark, piercing brown eyes staring straight into Dara's, he had an emotionless expression, not using the usual fake smile of a civilian. The waiter came across, asked Afshin in Italian what he would like, and then asked Dara in English if he wanted another wine. Dara concluded that the waiter knew the man. "Same again," said the Irishman. The waiter nodded and walked away. "I can recommend the Chianti Classico. It's so good I even bring a few cases back home with me. Mr. Fitzgerald, I do not drink alcohol or smoke tobacco or use narcotics," said Iranian in a monotone voice. This confirmed it was the right man unless it was an Israeli Mossad agent, but he decided to impress his guest. "Afshin Borzov Ben Hadar, it is an honor to make your acquaintance," Dara said, greeting him and holding out his hand. Afshin declined, instantly getting Dara's back up and making him feel foolish and chastised. "Perfect, you know my name. But I would prefer it if you did not broadcast it to the whole of Florence," the Iranian said through clenched teeth. Dara took a deep breath. "Okay, that's fine. Let's just get down to business," the Irishman said, suddenly losing his fake smile. The waiter returned and put a bottle of water, a glass, and another wine on the table. Dara decided to bite his tongue and try again for the greater good of his people. "I'm sorry for compromising you. I hope you can forgive me, and we can move on." The Iranian waved his hand dismissively like swatting a fly. "It's forgotten. If I can start first, why do you and your organization want to work with us?" "Well, we can help each other greatly. We have common enemies, like the British and the Israelis. We have different operation methods, but working together can be far more effective. We have been fighting the British Empire for generations. We know how they tick. Plus you're experts on the Zionists." The Iranian nodded, agreed. "But specifically, why do we need you?" Afshin asked, delicately sipping his water. I have thousands of martyrs begging to go to Jannah. That's heaven in your tongue. Exactly, yes, but you don't want to waste your resources or your martyrs. We can select the best targets in the UK and worldwide politicians and monarchy. All we want in return is the knowledge of how to make your special fireworks. But we can supply you with the fireworks for a small fee, the Iranian said, looking confused. Why do you want to manufacture them yourself? A group of loud American tourists sat at the adjacent table, trying to engage them in conversation. Gee, this is amazing. The statues and architecture, it's sure more impressive than Baltimore. Are you gentlemen on vacation? Afshan stood and completely ignored the Americans. Come walk with me, he ordered the Irishman. Dara downed his wine and followed. Have a nice day, the overweight American lady said, smiling. I, and you, Dara replied, leaving his euros on the table under his glass and giving the thumbs up to the waiter. The two men walked into the throng of tourists and souvenir sellers. The same selfie stick man was about to try to sell to them again, then suddenly thought again, seeing the fierce glare from Afshan. Mr. Fitzgerald, I will not insult you by using al-taqiyya when a Muslim is permitted to lie to a non-believer. My people are willing to use you like we would use a scimitar, a tool to achieve our aims against our enemies. We can form an alliance of sorts and fight together. But eventually you will submit to Islam. You want to unite your country. We want to unite the whole world under one true Allah, the all-powerful and all-knowing creator, sustainer, ordainer, and judge of everything in existence. It may not happen in our lifetime, but I do not doubt we will succeed. Yes, now, that's a complicated subject to get into right now. So it is, Dara said. Not complicated at all. Mr. Fitzgerald, said the Iranian, walking rather too quickly for the Irishman. Look, as I see it, you have problems as we do with your religion. You hate the Sunnis and we don't care much for the Protestants. Who knows when we take out the Prods and Brits? I will let you turn Buckingham Palace into a mosque, he said with a belly laugh. In payment, the Iranian just smirked. Where are you going in such a hurry? Asked the out-of-breath Irishman. I am a busy man. I have other meetings today, but you can tell your people that we will allow you to work for us against our enemies. Dara took a deep breath. I was thinking more of working together, but okay, I will pass on your message, he said to the back of the head of the Iranian as he watched him disappear into the bustling crowds of tourists. Arrogant Iranian bastard. Dara looked for somewhere to sit down to catch his breath. He also had heartburn now, with all the walking around. Work for us to fucking gobshite. Spotting a spare seat at the restaurant, he slumped down and took out his phone to send a text message. The wine is outstanding this year.